Coming up on Arirang News. South Korea's current account was back in the red in April after a month in the black, with more dividend payments to foreign investors and overseas travel. But the goods account is in the black for the first time in 7 months. The high-tech and tourism industries in South Korea's eastern province of Gangwon-do are set to be enlivened with the lifting of unnecessary restrictions. This in President Yoon remarks at the launching ceremony of the province's special self-governing status. The U.S. Justice Department lodges federal criminal charges against former President Donald Trump over the mishandling of classified documents upon leaving the White House. Mr. Trump becomes the first former president to face federal charges in U.S. history. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We begin with South Korea's latest trade data. Findings for April show that the country has posted a current account deficit just after a month of surplus back in March. Pundits attribute the deficit to greater travel overseas and more dividend payments to foreign investors. Our Moon leads us off.
South Korea's current account swung back into the red in April on the back of heightened outbound travel and increased dividend payments to foreign investors. Preliminary data released by the Bank of Korea on Friday showed that the country's current account recorded a deficit of $790 million in April. This follows a surplus in March, which was the first since December. However, the goods account recorded a surplus of $580 million in April for the first time in 7 months despite sluggish exports.
We were able to confirm that the goods and services balance, which shows the key trend in the current account balance, has shown improvement since January, and that this trend continued in April.
The goods account logged a deficit of around $1 billion in February and March and over $7 billion in January. The total value of exports fell on year by nearly 17%, marking 8 months of consecutive decline. Semiconductor exports saw more than a 40% decline on the back of the global economic slowdown, and exports in other major sectors such as electronic goods also saw significant on-year declines. Only auto, ship and machinery exports rose in April, with auto exports jumping by more than 40% amid rising popularity of eco-friendly cars. The service account, which includes earnings and spending on overseas trips and transport, recorded a $1.2 billion deficit. This is nearly $1.6 billion less than April last year, when the service account logged a surplus of $380 million. Increased outbound travel as a result of eased COVID-19 restrictions led to a continued deficit in the travel account of around $500 million, contributing to the service account deficit. The primary income account, responsible for monitoring foreign workers' wages and overseas dividend payments, experienced a deficit of $90 million in April due to an increase in dividend payments to foreign investors. Moon, Arirang News.
The Chambers of Commerce of South Korea and Japan are to work together to help with their respective expo ambitions. For South Korea, that means win the bid to host the 2030 World Expo. For Japan, the successful hosting of the 2025 Kansai Expo in Osaka. The two chambers released a joint statement on Friday following a bilateral business meeting in Busan, the first between the two countries in 6 years. They agreed to promptly roll out economic cooperation and exchange programs, especially in terms of resolving demographic challenges, reconstructing the supply chain, and achieving net zero. The next bilateral business chamber meeting is scheduled to be held next year in Osaka, Japan. President Yoon, sitting down with Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said that new international standards have to be in place swiftly to prevent side effects from the fast advancing AI technology, such as ChatGPT. The statement came on Friday after the two had spoken for around an hour at Yoon's office on the direction of AI development, the danger it poses, and the potential collaborations with Korean startups and OpenAI. Altman said the South Korean AI startups have what it takes to compete on the global stage and added the country needs to focus on its memory chip production strength as the boom in the AI industry will create more demand for them. In the meantime, President Yoon also admitted that he's turned to ChatGPT to ask a question while drafting his New Year's address, saying he received a quite plausible result. Turning to the nation's efforts seeking balanced regional growth. Just 2 days before the province gains a special self-governing status, President Yoon Suk-yeol has pledged to turn the eastern province of Gangwon-do into a high-tech and tourist hub. Our Oh Soo-young tells us what this will involve.
South Korea's eastern province of Gangwon-do is set to become a high-tech powerhouse and tourist hub for the nation as it sheds the red tape that had been holding it back. President Yoon Suk-yeol attended a ceremony on Friday to mark the launch of the province's special self-governing status, which will go into effect on Sunday. As Gangwon-do launches itself as Gangwon State, the province hopes to utilize land that was restricted and heavily regulated by central government ministries under laws related to military districts, forestry, environment and agriculture. According to the local provincial government, over 21,000 square kilometers has been under red tape, stalling opportunities to improve the quality of life and development in the region, altogether amounting to some 62.8 trillion won or $48.6 billion in estimated losses.
It was difficult to develop the area as there were so many separate regulations applied on different zones, which needed to be processed by different bodies. But this new status will help Gangwon fast-track regulatory procedures and gain freedom to develop its niche areas.
By gaining self-governing powers and easing regulations, Gangwon state authorities would have greater flexibility to speedily build residential areas, factories, tourist attractions, transport links and other infrastructure. Also, the province is expected to gain various advantages like Daeju and Sejong City, such as a separate account for funding and greater autonomy in setting up policies on foreign investment, tourism and education. As part of his drive for balanced regional development, Yoon said he aims to empower Gangwon province and its residents to leverage their natural environment and abundant resources.
지역 스스로 경쟁력 있는 산업을 정해서 중앙정부가 지원하는 균형 발전 전략을 실현해 나갈 것입니다.
The president also pledged to promote the growth of high-tech industries in the province, noting that the city of Taebaek has been designated as a special zone for biomass-based hydrogen production. He further called for efforts to build an e-mobility industry and boost tourism, promising to quickly initiate a high-speed railway project to connect cities across Gangwon. With its vision to become a future industrial global city, Gangwon State will also aim to serve as a model of decentralization, as Jeollabuk-do in January will become the fourth self-governing region in the country. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Korea's National Election Commission, recently mired in a nepotism scandal, earlier today decided to accept an audit by the nation's Board of Audit and Inspection, but only in regard to the alleged employment favoritism. Our political correspondent Lee Si-hoo reports.
The National Election Commission, currently under allegations of employment favoritism towards the children of several senior NEC officials, has decided to accept an audit by South Korea's Board of Audit and Inspection. The NEC, while noting that such an audit does not correspond to the spirit of the Constitution, said they'll only allow audits on alleged nepotism. The constitutional institution also added that they're going to work to clarify the scope of the audit by filing a competence dispute at the Constitutional Court, which holds the final say. This was at a meeting of the NEC commissioners at the agency's headquarters in the city of Gwacheon. Friday's decision is a turnaround from the NEC's earlier rejection of the investigation by BAI. The NEC has previously refused to provide the requested information by the BAI, calling the move a violation of rightful independence as a constitutional institution. Meanwhile, the ruling People Power Party, which has continuously pressed the NEC to accept the audit, showed disapproval at Friday's decision.
Filing a competence dispute at a constitutional court is still a protest against the citizen and an reluctant apology.
The main opposition Democratic Party has previously said that if the BAI pursues an audit on the NEC, which it called is not one of the lawful subjects of the audit, the party will push for a parliamentary probe into the BAI.
We will push for a parliamentary probe into the Board of Audit and Inspection. The board that has been conducting political audits sans independence and neutrality for the past year should be investigated.
The DP has repeatedly said that a parliamentary probe should take place instead. From what's been reported thus far, some children of NEC officials were notified of new hiring announcements over 2 weeks prior to their official announcements. In some cases, the parents directly called the HR department and recommended their children for positions. There are also nepotism allegations in the promotion process of those hired. Lee Si-hu, Arirang News.
The U.S. Defense Department has called North Korea's latest attempt at launching a spy satellite as a destabilizing act and clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Pentagon Press Secretary Pat Ryder made the comments in a press briefing on Thursday in response to a question on the department's forecast for North Korea's next rocket launch, as he declined to discuss specific intelligence details. However, he did reaffirm that U.S. commitment to collaborating closely with South Korean and Japanese allies alongside other international partners to mitigate any future threats. North Korea previously warned that Pyongyang is planning another imminent launch. South Korea's foreign ministry called in the Chinese ambassador to Seoul this morning to lodge a complaint over his criticism of the Yoon administration's foreign policy. This comes a day after Ambassador Shin Hai-ming said that it was wrong for Seoul to, quote, bet on China's loss and a U.S. victory during a meeting with South Korea's opposition party leader Lee Jae-myung on Thursday. Seoul's foreign ministry said First Vice Foreign Minister Chang Ho-jin warned the top Chinese envoy that such remarks were absurd. Separately, Foreign Minister Park Jin also strongly criticized Shin's remarks, saying on Friday that the ambassador went too far. Moving on to the situation in Ukraine. Major attacks by Ukrainian forces continue in the key southern Zaporizhzhia region. A senior U.S. official told the New York Times that Ukrainian troops began to advance in Zaporizhzhia on Thursday, backed by Western supplied tanks and armored vehicles. The official also said the fighting appeared to be the main thrust in Kyiv's counterattack to retake territory occupied by Russia. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said in a statement the same day that Russian forces had repelled the Ukrainian attempts. Kyiv has not responded to Moscow's claim. Over in the U.S., the Justice Department has lodged federal criminal charges against former President Donald Trump for mishandling classified documents after he left the White House. This is Mr. Trump's second indictment, but the first ever federal indictment of a former president in the U.S. Jung Eun-ju has the details.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been indicted on 7 counts over his retention of national security documents. This marks the first time in U.S. history for a former president to face federal charges. The Justice Department on Thursday took the legally and politically momentous step of filing federal criminal charges against former President Trump, accusing him of mishandling classified documents he kept upon leaving office and then obstructing the government's efforts to reclaim them. His attorney Jim Trusty said on CNN this Thursday that Mr. Trump is facing a charge under the Espionage Act. The charges against him also include obstruction of justice, destruction or falsification of records, conspiracy, and false statements. He later confirmed on his social media platform that he had been indicted, saying that he had been informed by what he called the corrupt Biden administration. Mr. Trump, who is the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, said he has been summoned to appear in federal court in Miami on Tuesday at 3 p.m. In a video he released later on Truth Social, the social media platform founded by Trump Media and Technology Group, declared that he is an innocent man. The federal indictment filed by the Office of the Special Counsel Jack Smith is the second time that Trump has been criminally charged this year. In April, the Manhattan District Attorney charged him with 34 counts of falsifying business. He remains under investigation by Mr. Smith's office for his efforts to retain power after his election loss in 2020 and how those efforts led to the January 6th assault on the Capitol by a pro-Trump mob in 2021. For more than a year, the special counsel has been investigating whether the former president knowingly retained classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida after he left office in 2021 and took steps to conceal the materials after the Justice Department issued a subpoena for their return. Trump, however, has repeatedly characterized the investigation as a politically motivated witch hunt. 정은주, Arirang News.
Moving on to sports now. Although the South Korean under-20 men's football team did not make it to the final of the World Cup in Argentina, their journey isn't over yet. That's because coming up this Monday is the third and fourth place playoff against Israel. If they win, it'll be South Korea's first third-place finish at an under-20 World Cup. South Korea made it to the final in 2019, losing to Ukraine, and to the semifinals in 1983. The match against Israel will take place at La Plata Stadium in Argentina with a kickoff time of 2:30 a.m. Monday, Korea time. K-pop superstars BTS will be celebrating their 10-year anniversary next Tuesday, June 13th. Ahead of this, our cultural correspondent Song Yujin looks back on their history and what's behind their unparalleled success.
Everybody, 단체! 둘, 셋, 팍! 다! 안녕하세요, 방탄소년단입니다! 같이 인사 좀 드려요.
This appearance on Arirang TV was just 3 months after their debut, but fast forward almost a decade. And BTS has blossomed into a 5-time Grammy nominee, Times Entertainer of the Year, music chart toppers, and the most followed music group on Instagram. But BTS's success didn't happen overnight. When the boys released their debut track, No More Dream, in 2013, they weren't signed with one of the big 3 record companies in Korea, known for producing hit K-pop groups since the 90s. Their rebellious bad boy looks and aggressive hip-hop music presented a stark contrast to the clean-cut, romance-singing boy groups K-pop fans were accustomed to. It was actually social media that first rose the boys to stardom.
And even before their debut, they were talking with their fans. They always showed insight into who they are. They always had their, nowadays we see Jungkook going on a live stream with 10 million people, and back then they were doing it for just a few people on YouTube. But it's always been that way. And
This not only expanded BTS's reach, but also fostered a deep connection with their fans, the ARMY. But success wouldn't have lasted long without good music. Unlike most K-pop songs written by renowned composers, BTS members actively contributed as songwriters and producers.
But you become a voice of a generation because you really put yourself out there, or you put music out there that is very both personal and relatable. That's what makes a great pop song or a great, popular hit. So every person can listen to it and feel, oh, I feel that way. And
the song Love Myself really empowered me. I had a difficult time at work back then, and the song gave me a lot of comfort.
Equally important is the fact that all 7 members have remained together until now.
Unlike many K-pop groups that pursue unique projects, BTS has always worked together other than releasing solo work. This unity and strength are what define BTS.
Their songs and dances are really cool, and it's just great to see the strong bond between the members.
All this paved the way for other K-pop acts to shine on the global stage.
BTS has brought K-pop into the mainstream. K-pop used to be a niche music loved by enthusiasts, but it's now become a universal genre enjoyed worldwide like Latin or British pop.
No one could have predicted the immense scale of BTS's success 10 years ago. Although they're currently taking time off as a group, who knows what extraordinary accomplishments they'll achieve in the next 10 years. 송유진, Arirang News.
K-pop girl group Aespa took the mound to deliver the ceremonial first pitch at a New York Yankees game on Thursday. They have become the first Korean celebrities to throw a ceremonial pitch in a major league game in 9 years, following singer and actor Suji in 2014. Member Winter stepped off the plate while Giselle did not participate in the event due to health issues. Aespa is currently in New York for their performance at the Governor's Ball on June 10th, making them the first K-pop artist ever to perform at the annual festival. Red ginseng is traditionally used for its various medicinal properties, and now a new health benefit has been discovered. Research shows red ginseng not only reduces alcoholism, but also improves cognitive functions diminished by excessive drinking. Yoon has the details.
Laboratory mice were given ethanol, the chemical name for alcohol, and put in a Y-shaped maze. The natural curiosity of mice means they should explore all 3 parts of the maze. But the mice that have been given ethanol quickly forgot the path they've already traveled and keep returning to the same path. The red line marks their route, which shows one part of the maze untraveled. The cognitive function of the mice has been diminished by the alcohol. But a team of researchers tested the effects of red ginseng by giving a group of mice both ethanol and red ginseng. The effects of red ginseng means they explore the maze in a similar way to the sober mice.
We were able to confirm that administering red ginseng improves cognitive functions that have been impaired by alcohol. The higher the dose, the greater the effect.
Red ginseng has also been shown to improve one of the biggest problems of alcoholism, withdrawal symptoms. The mice on the left, which have become addicted to alcohol, are seen scratching themselves, a sign of withdrawal. But the mice on the right, given both ethanol and red ginseng, don't show any such signs.
We've confirmed that the neuroinflammation in the hippocampus, which is the area responsible for long-term and short-term memory and is increased by alcohol, was reduced with the administering of red ginseng.
Other than cutting out alcohol altogether, there hasn't been a treatment for alcoholism or reduced memory function, also referred to as blacking out. And this is the first time that this traditional medicinal ingredient, which is also very accessible in Korea, has been shown to improve such conditions. The research team will continue looking into the exact substance in red ginseng that creates such benefits. Yoon, Arirang News.
A rainy weekend is ahead of us for much of South Korea. For tomorrow, central parts of the country will see showers, while on Sunday, scattered outbreaks of rainfall are expected nationwide. With the daytime heat prevailing, conditions may feel muggy and hot. As for the amount of rainfall, the Seoul metropolitan area and Gangwon-do Province will see up to 60 millimeters. The surrounding regions, including Gangwon-do and Seoul provinces, can expect 5 to 40. Unstable atmospheric conditions may produce thunder and lightning at times. And UV ray index will stay high for southern parts of the country where relatively less rainfall is in store. For those across the region, make sure to wear plenty of sunblock. Tomorrow, Seoul, Gwangju, and Busan will be starting off at 19 degrees. Highs in Seoul will get up to 28 degrees. Daejeon and Gwangju 30. Busan will be topping out at 26 degrees. And for Gangwon-do Province, showers will continue until next Tuesday. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all for this Friday night newscast. Thank you for watching. Hope everyone has a great weekend and a good night.
M 라이브. 저를 도와주시는 분들이
저희와 함께 해주시는 세션분들
아무리 봐도 없지. 펜션 같은데 아니라고 아무도 안 하는 거고.
좋아요.
Global leader of eco-friendly future materials. Green tomorrow with POSCO.
The Globalists provides insights and analysis on a wide range of topics, from politics and economics to culture and technology. The show features